Welcome back to Radiant Resilience, everyone. I'm so excited to have a returning guest with us today. Casey Bainton joined us for the second time. If you haven't listened to the very first full-length episode of this series, I highly recommend going back to hear more about her backstory and journey with Lyme disease. In this episode, we'll dive into the various therapies Casey has been exploring to heal from Lyme disease, physically, mentally, and energetically. It's a lighter, more uplifting conversation, and I hope you find it both informative and inspiring. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this insightful discussion. Welcome back to Radiant Resilience, everyone. We have a returning guest, which I'm so excited. Casey Bainton is back with us. If you haven't listened to my very first full-length episode of this series, go back and listen to it to get a little bit more of her backstory. She has been struggling with Lyme disease for a few years now, and it's been really interesting. So definitely recommend going back and listening to that other episode before you listen to this one so you can get the backstory. But today we are going to talk more about some of the therapies and stuff that she's been doing to heal from Lyme disease, and energetically and physically and mentally. She's gone down some really interesting paths, and I want to know more, and I hope everybody else does too. So Casey, how are you? Where do you want to start?
Thanks for having me back. I'm just super grateful to share more of my story and my healing journey. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. I'm glad to have you back. Everybody was so curious after the last episode about, they're like, oh, I want to know more about the bee venom, and I want to know more about the craniosacral and all these things. And then before we started recording, Casey was telling me a little bit more about some new things that she's been doing too. So yeah, what was the first few things you started looking into more naturopathic after your Lyme disease diagnosis?
Okay, so I went to my first naturopath in Burlington, Ontario. She did the typical, she put me on some antibiotics, some homeopathics, but it wasn't until I got to my naturopath in Salmon Arm, which is in BC. He started me on biophoton light therapy.
What's
And
that? Tell us what that is.
he has this little, so what he would do is he has this little light box that shines a light, and he pairs it with like supplements that you need. He records their like frequency on this like recording disc, and he pairs it with these other frequencies to fight like say retroviruses or the Bartonella or the Lyme bacteria. And he would put that in with the light, and you would shine it around your body, and it like it cleans the bugs from your system
Oh, interesting.
using light, sound, and just frequency early on, and tapping into frequencies of crystal, sound, light really became huge cleaning tools for me. And I could like feel things, just things that were stuck, because I was really jammed up and stuck and stiff and rigid. And you would shine the light, or I'd play a sound frequency, or I'd work with a certain crystal frequency, and you could feel things like shift and move. And it's hard to explain verbally unless you felt it. And I know there's a lot of people who've done meditations or breath work or light therapies. Yeah, when you feel it, you can feel, but it's hard to put into words.
Yeah, for sure. I've been doing some breath work stuff with an energy gal that I've been working with, and it's wild what you notice in your body when you're doing all those breath exercises, and what starts to tingle and what starts to hurt, or like anything abnormal in your body that comes up during that. It's been super interesting to me to learn why certain things happened, and whether it was my right side or my left side, which is one's masculine, one's feminine, and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot of that interesting stuff.
Yeah, it was the biophoton light therapy. And yeah, I was so brain foggy for Lyme at the time. Like I just trusted it. I didn't really, because it was still new. I wasn't really into energy work or this intuitive stuff by then. So it was really strange for me, but I was like, I want to get better. For some reason, this is making me feel better. So I'm just going to trust it, but I can't exactly explain. So in the beginning, it was more just like trusting my naturopath and salmon arm and the regime he laid out for me. If he told me to do it for this much time a day, how many times a day, I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing.
And what kind of stuff was he recommending you do yourself then?
At that time, oh my gosh. So yeah, he let me take the light box home.
Oh, he
And
did. Okay.
yeah, so then, and he would send me the audio recordings. So I'd have it on my computer, and like morning and the evening, I would shine the light box around certain parts so that we were focusing on. Like Lyme caused this huge, and it's also because of past memory and data and problems and stuff and blocks, huge blockage right here, right back of my skull. So with him over so many years, I've had to work with him to just clear a lot of heavy metals and toxins would get hung up here, especially aluminum. So I was really taking cilantro and stuff to bind with aluminum to keep flushing it from here. And if the COVID virus would always get hung up in here because I had a huge block, so we had to always flush the COVID virus or simplex viruses from here. And you'd always end a treatment by shining the light on the liver because it would always get flushed to the liver to be, of course, right? Everything's just getting flushed through there. So yeah, here was just, in the beginning, it felt like I was constantly being branded by hot iron and being suffocated. And it was just extreme nerve suffocation, torturing pain back here and numbness and stuff. And
So
now,
in like your neck area, back of your head.
like right occiput. And now it's gone down to, because now I can feel it move. Sometimes it will get stuck. Just a little bit of numb nerve damage, which is slowly healing. The nerves tend to take a bit longer, just like tendons or ligaments and stuff. But yeah, and at one point I was like, man, this area feels like just a black hole of just like, or just a never ending fulcrum of shit that I had to like constantly put, like, just work and work. And yeah, it was crazy. And then it was obviously tied to other areas in my body that were stuck. So
Right.
yeah, or sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
So you were doing all that stuff that he recommended, and then where did you go from there?
I started doing acupuncture because a friend, like, yeah, somehow that came online intuitively. And I really loved acupuncture in the beginning. I think it was my start into the gateway of Chinese medicine.
Sure.
And I had a really lovely lady named Dan Zhu. And I loved acupuncture because they would prick you and then leave you alone for a bit. And you could just, for me, it was like I could just really clean and release and meditate. And I had some big things come up. And I remember one time I started just to trust with that. So there was one time, and this is where I started to get intuitive, was one needle she stuck in my leg while she left me alone. That needle started like pulsing and really aching. And my mind just kept screaming. It was like potassium, selenium, potassium, selenium, potassium, selenium over and over. And I was like, okay, I think I just have to trust this. So after the session, I went and got like potassium and selenium and started taking it for however intuitively long I felt. And then, yeah, I felt better. I just started, yeah, it was weird. It's weird stuff like that. You're just like, okay, yeah, I'm going to act on this. Seems like something I'm supposed to pay attention to. Let's just act on this. So yeah, it was acupuncture. Then he suggested manual osteopathy. So I started going, I got some of the best like cranial head massages of my life.
Nice.
Still practice in Vancouver. She's just phenomenal with her hands and cranial bone manipulation. Just, yeah, a true genius with her hands. I was like, oh, can you do this? One of those people where you're like, can you do this 24/7?
Yeah, never stop, please.
So yeah, that was that. And then that led to ozone shots. Somehow my naturopath wanted me to do, again, it was all about cleaning, and ozone shots activate and send like pure oxygen into an area and really flush things out. So yeah, I was mentioning to you before the podcast, my whole journey looking back really became about just cleaning my system. So in the beginning, it was very physical. So the ozone shots were really helping to get like the heavy metals, the toxins, the environmental toxins, the bugs that were in the blocked areas of my body. I was doing that, some cleaning, and I would get huge highs after getting shot up with.
Really?
Like, I would often have to ground myself because I would get intense dreams and visions, and I'd be like, okay, whoo, you got that, sent you a hot air balloon just up and up.
So the ozone shots, is that something you do yourself or is that something you get done by a practitioner?
Naturopath. So or dentists do it too, because there's a lot of like bacteria and stuff that can get congested in the mouth and the teeth and the gums. I got in two places. I had a third naturopath in Kelowna. So I went to him and I just trusted where intuitively I would say some spots where I'd want to be shot and he would like suss out some spots, but they're just like little shallow shots and you just get them injected. And yeah, you have to do it through a naturopath, or the dentist can do it intraorally. The Lyme bacteria definitely went into the nerves and jaw stuff in my teeth. And
Oh, interesting. So how
yeah,
often were you doing those?
I was doing that. That was like my first year of healing. I was doing that frequently, like either once or twice a week. So
Okay.
I into Kelowna, which was like an hour away after work, and go get cleared out. And yeah, so that was early days. Yeah, I haven't, now I just do ozone every once in a while if it calls out to me. But like I said, my cleaning started on a physical level and the ozone really helped like that. And then I dropped to cleaning with more of an emotional level. And then now deeper, all three sort of spiritual as well. But yeah, so while I was doing the ozone shots, that's when biodynamic craniosacral came online. And that's when things like really intuitively took off. I started trusting the healing process a bit more. You started to be able to work a bit more with your practitioners. You didn't have to be handheld as much and be like, this is what you have to do. It could be like, okay, they're giving me these guidelines, but I'm also going to check in with myself and be like, okay, we've been given these guidelines, but what feels also right? So you're getting some guidance, but you're also getting guidance from self. And
Well, at that point, you probably had done so much that you've learned a lot about your body and paying attention to the signs and the things that your brain was telling you and stuff like that. Where before, if that's not something you've ever done before, it's hard to really get into that and really pay attention. So I bet you just learn more about your body and then you could work together with them instead of.
yeah, you start trusting your body. Cause at first you're just like, this is so weird. And I don't know, you have so much doubt and lack of trust. And you're like, this is strange. Should I believe this? Am I just going crazy? But then, yeah, the more you work with your body and the more you work with other people, the more you just, okay, yeah, this is truly what's showing up for me. And if your body really wants you, or your being, or your subconscious really wants you to pay attention to something, it will keep putting it in your face.
Yeah.
So I told you did I mentioned last podcast like the cinnamon thing a bit?
I feel like you did, but go ahead and talk about that again.
Okay, so my whole life it involved like two toothpastes. These are my toothpaste stories. Your body. So my whole life I've just been like a mint toothpaste person. I just like, but this one week this was when I was really deep diving into going into grocery stores and stuff and being like, body, what do you need today? I'll pick you up whatever you need. So I ended up just like going straight to the toothpaste aisle, and I picked up like cinnamon toothpaste. I was like, okay, trust this. I'll buy some cinnamon toothpaste. I'm like, okay. But then cinnamon started coming on really strongly. It was just like I wanted cinnamon in everything. It was just like I would put cinnamon in water and drink it, and I would put cinnamon on toast. And then I went into Cobb's Bread, which is a bakery, and I asked for a cinnamon bun, and he ended up giving me it for free. because he was just like, it's too small to sell or something. And I'm like, it looked normal size for me, but yeah. And then I went to a crew house and there was 2 unfinished boxes of cinnamon toast crunch, and they want us to eat up stuff in the cupboard so stuff doesn't just keep piling up. So like I ate that. And so then like I was still on the cinnamon train, and I had an appointment with my naturopath in Salmon Arm, and we've been working together for a couple of years now, and we've gotten really in sync with each other. And so he's doing this check-in with me. He's, oh, how have you been doing lately and stuff? And I was telling him how I'd been doing. And then I was like, the strangest thing, I was like, for some reason, I just really crave and just constantly want to eat cinnamon right now. And he pauses and he looks at me. He's like, that's interesting. Because he deals with he's like the bug guy. He deals with all sorts of just bugs and bacteria and viruses. He's like, there's a strain of norovirus going around right now. And he's like, all my typical naturopathic remedies that seem to move bugs along aren't working on this one, except for cinnamon seems to be moving it along.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, so like somehow my subconscious was either trying to protect me from this like norovirus that was apparently like cycling around, or I had it in my system and my system was trying to somehow flush it out. But I had no idea what was going on, but my subconscious was aware of something in the environment.
That's crazy.
So that was just like when that hit, you're like, okay, yeah, I should trust my body. It's
Yeah, for
looking
sure.
out for me. It knows something. I didn't even need to know that. It was just showing me the right way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So there was that one. Toothpaste story number 2.
Oh, yes, there's 2 stories. Go for 2.
So, a while later, it was after we'd gotten back from Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you and I went on a trip to Vegas, and
Yeah, and that was last September, I think.
I picked up again. My body wanted toothpaste and a different toothpaste, and it wanted it with like neem oil in it. And
What's
I've worked.
neem oil?
Oil is just like this oil. I forget exactly what it is, but it's used for a lot of health things. And I forget what I've used it for in the past, except for this story. Yeah. Because my naturopath on and off has required me to put it on certain areas of my body and stuff. Yeah, to help with the cleaning, whatever it was doing. So I get this toothpaste. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know why neem oil. I don't even know if this toothpaste will taste great. Maybe my mouth needs it for some. So I got back, and then after Vegas, I went and hiked the Wanda Fuca Trail with my friend Andy, and I was taking those water filtration tabs and stuff.
Yeah.
But after that, I was like, I booked an appointment with my naturopath because I was like, you know what? No matter how much I'm purifying my water, maybe some bugs will still remain. And because I'm still not fully like unblocked, stuff might get hung up. So I'm just gonna go like to him afterwards and get like unblocked, and so I can clean stuff out.
Yeah.
After the trail in Vegas, my back was really hurting me coming. I remember waiting for the ferry, and I was like meditating with my back, my lower back. And of course, we've been hiking and stuff, but this felt like more radiating from abdominal pain background. And I was like, hey, body, what do you need from me to help this back pain ease a little bit? And my mind just kept telling me, put the toothpaste on your back, put the toothpaste.
All right.
I was like, nah, this is where I draw the line. This toothpaste on my back. So I ignored it. Anyway, I went to my naturopath again, and I was telling him of my abdominal pain and my lower back pain. It was pretty intense. And he assigned me some homeopathics. He did the biophoton light. He cleared some of the blocks, flushed stuff off. And then he's like, do you have any neem oil at home? Because I think what happened is I had some like strep or something hung up in my guts, which we all, but like bugs get hung up in different areas, even though they create symptoms. Like you can have COVID in your knee, but it will still just symptoms in your nasal area and stuff. But yes. And then he was like, okay. And he was like, do you have any neem oil at home? I want you to rub it on your back. And I laughed. I was like, I should have just rubbed the toothpaste on my back.
I should have listened to that part, huh?
And my body was informing me what it like truly needed. And that time I didn't listen, but it still came around to me. And I ended up rubbing neem oil on my back. And yeah, it felt better in the weeks to come. So
Probably
yeah,
better to rub the oil than the toothpaste.
yeah. Toothpaste was a little bit like, yeah, it might have been a bit burnier. I don't know how a toothpaste would have felt if I tried.
Yeah, let me know.
That leads to another point. What I've learned throughout my healing journey is everything and anything can be medicine if it's the right timing. You know what I mean? The right song can be medicine.
I totally relate to that.
What is it? A bike ride can be medicine. A piece of art, an orange can be medicine. M's can be medicine. If that's what's coming up, that's what's coming up. Sunshine can be medicine. Darkness can be medicine. Cold, heat. If you're listening to your body, a mantra can be medicine. A single word or even nothing can be medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I've learned. If you deeply listen and you clean so that the right messages that you need to hear come through, then the right medicine kind of comes through. And that's what happened. Like, then moving forward, like the bee venom, for example, I was cleaning, doing all my cleaning work, healing. And in the span of a week, 4 mothers said to me, have you heard of bee venom? And I'd heard of it before, but I had tried to initiate it before, but there was things getting in the way. So I was just like, okay, it's not the right time. But then that week when like it dropped 4 times, 4 people saying it, I was like, okay, now's the time to start it. And when I listened to that, it was like the easiest thing to set up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I could book appointments easy. My schedule was open enough to do it. I could, and then all of a sudden I'm ordering my own supply from Hungary, and now I inject myself, yeah, 3 times a week.
So talk about what the bee venom does and yeah, give us a little bit more info about that.
Okay, yeah, bee venom, like I said, it will show up the way you need it. So obviously this is what I've learned. People can tell you what certain therapies are for and stuff, but you really have to listen to what deeply you need it for. You know what I mean? And yeah, people can tell me like it's great for the joints. And the joints are a great place for healing. Like joints communicate, and we learn this in craniosacral. If one joint is stuck, then it will have a ripple effect to the other. So if you can get more fluidity and openness and health to even just a single joint in your body, and there's lots in your body, it will start to ripple to the rest of your joints in the body. So yeah, venom's great for joints because I think it causes like that, how you have a little bit of that acute inflammation is good for healing. It stimulates a bit of that like acute inflammation, immune response.
Okay.
Gets activated or be like, okay, we're gonna go to work here. And but for me, this is deeply personal, but I put all my bee venom stuff except for the bee venom itself, and I take it with this stuff called procaine, which is a nerve agent. So you do a 1-to-1 ratio of the bee venom and the procaine. And yeah, I put all my stuff like my needles, I have an my alcohol swabs, and some just Benadryl in case I have a big reaction in this simple wooden box. And on the lid, I wrote, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Because that's the Ho'oponopono Hawaiian cleaning practice I'm doing really deeply right now. But ooh, yeah, this is, I feel I have a lot of past life memories and data and junk to clear surrounding addictive type behaviors that came through in a lot of my Reiki and visions and stuff. So anytime I do my bee venom, I pray with it. I'm sorry, and please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And it feels like when I'm injecting, it sometimes feels like I'm transported back in time to feeling like I'm an addict on the street, shooting myself up with any sort of drug. So when I'm doing the bee venom, I'm like, bee venom, I love you. Can you help clean me of this past behaviors, past karma, past memories, whatever's replaying in my subconscious that's like keeping me stuck. So yeah, I'm deeply grateful to the bee venom because it feels like it's helping clean my system in a very deep way.
So do you do it in different spots of your body each time, or is it the same areas?
Dude, yeah, wherever is intuitively. So I'll often be like, okay, I'll show up in front of the bee venom and be like, hey, bee venom, body, whatever, how many shots today? And it'll be like 10 or 6. Max I've done is 10 or 2. And then I'll just be like, I'll use my hands intuitively and be like, show me. And it'll be like, oh, there. Like I did bee venom on Friday, and all of it wanted to be around my knees. So like literally the bee's knees. But like I said, the knees are like a huge joint. And then before that, I actually did my hands and my feet, which kind of sucks sometimes to really, when I get most of the addiction memories that I feel like I have to clear from my being, I'm usually shooting up my arms a lot. The place that's most reactive on me is my thighs.
Interesting.
Yeah, I get huge reactions, like huge, like hive reactions on my thighs. So I have to be careful of how many shots I do there at once. And when I used to get poison ivy, I used to get huge reactions on my thighs. So I think the bee venom's helping reverse some of the poison ivy incidents I had in the past. Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, the bee venom's cool. It's for me, it's like the first therapy I was really able to take home with me and do on my own. So it feels very empowering. Although I've done a lot of healing, like 99.9% of my healing was done at home by myself. But yeah, that one I can, yeah, really just go deep with it in terms of respect and being in the moment and being with it. And yeah, super grateful for the bee venom. It's brought a lot of joy into my life. But like I said, like I say that, but for other people, injecting themselves with bee venom might not be what they need. They might need to actually be stung by real bees,
Mm.
to clean them, or they might not even need bee venom on their healing journey. They may need Wim Hof,
Something else.
yeah, something different. So yeah, learn to trust that.
So tell me about the craniosacral therapy. Let's dive into that a little bit.
Oh, I love it. It is a type of therapy that it like seeps into, like it just waves out into every aspect of your life. Like it is so beautiful. And again, it's a lot about getting to the core, getting back to yourself. So what I've come to learn is disease or dis-ease is when you get further and further from who you are. Worries or shit in your system. You just get so full of shit that is not your own, that you get pulled further and further from who your own being, the truth of you, like your ground zero, that you eventually just lose yourself. So all my healing is, yeah, you clean, you clear, you cleanse, so you can get back to like you, who you were like born to be. You know what I mean? And that's what craniosacral does a lot, is it really gets you to return to the core of you. So it goes very fetal a lot of the times in sessions. You'll go back to, because the idea is like the forces that birthed you are the forces that will keep healing you throughout your life. So like you cut your hand, right? Your hand heals you. Yeah, unless you're hemophilia.
Yeah.
That is miraculous.
Truly, our bodies are amazing.
So yeah, we have this innate healing ability in all of us. And if you can get back to what really deeply resources you personally and what deeply heals you personally, it's so empowering and so freeing. So one example is I was vegetarian for 7 years and I started shaming food a lot and like being like, listening to all these fad diets, like, and getting really stressful about food. Like, I shouldn't eat that. I have to eat this. And I would never eat ice cream and never like touch milk because people are like, milk's inflammatory, whatever.
I've
I started,
experienced a lot of that in the fertility world too. There's all these things that everybody's like, oh, and I've literally seen like all the spectrum. So last year I was told to do carnivore,
yeah.
straight carnivore diet, nothing but meat. And then you have all these people that are like, no, what is it? The Greek diet or the Mediterranean diet is like the way to go, and you need that. And it's just what everybody's telling you all the time. I'm like, how am I ever supposed to know what is true?
So here's an example for me is like when I started doing craniosacral, I started really wanting ice cream. And that became, it was hard for me at first. And then eventually I started to be like, okay, really want ice cream. Let's just, okay, have ice cream, like, and enjoy it. Like, say, thank you, ice cream. I love you. Like, you taste phenomenal. You're great. Um, and then it was funny because we had to do like this deep dive exercise to be like, ask our mom about the pregnancy and what were you going through, mom, when you birthed me? And she was like, yeah, sometimes I would get really nauseous. And like, when that happened, I would go eat chocolate ice cream because it would really calm my stomach. I was like, oh, my body's resourcing itself. It knows that my mom was digging into this chocolate ice cream and it was nourishing her and helping her through pregnancy. I was a part of her being at that time. I love ice cream. It was helping me grow into a human being. It was helping me develop.
That's
It,
so funny. I have a slightly opposite story of that. So Colin, when his mom was pregnant with him, craved pickles and mint chocolate ice cream, and he hates those two things now.
so maybe it was doing something like, yeah, so you really have to feel like if his body's saying, I hate it, trust it. And you never know. It depends on your mom's feelings too when she's eating the food as well.
Yeah, it was just
Obviously,
so funny because I was talking to her about it one day about him not liking pickles and mint ice cream or whatever. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah, he hates them. She was like, I ate a lot of that stuff when I was pregnant with him. And I was like, really? That is so interesting.
how he's establishing his own sense of freedom. Like, I don't need to eat that.
Maybe.
So yeah, it was like, yeah, so stuff like, it's interesting to ask your mom of like her habits when you were being birthed, because yeah, it did have an influence on you. So now I let myself, like, if it's really coming up that I need to eat ice cream or chocolate milk or something, I let myself eat it, and then my body does tell me when, okay, you've eaten enough.
Are you
And
still vegetarian?
you know, yeah, like you, during one of my craniosacral seminars, I tried the carnivore diet, and I did that for how many days? Oh my gosh, maybe 15 days, half a month or something. And yeah, I was strictly eating meat, butter, hard cheese, and eggs.
That's interesting. They told me the staples were bacon, eggs, beef, butter, and salt.
Oh wow, yeah. I did a few dates too, just to have a little bit of fiber. But yeah, during that time, it felt like my system was like flushing, using the fats to somehow flush some heavy metal toxicity from my body. But eventually, and I think I passed a few kidney stones, which was weird stuff up. But then eventually, it became pretty hard on my like kidneys, or it became hard on some. Something was like, okay, we've had enough. You need some fresh greens and fiber or whatever in your body, get stuff moving. That was funny because I don't know what your experience on the carnivore diet was, but bowel movements became very iffy. And not to get, it was either you were like, I was extremely constipated, or one time I actually shit my pants.
Oh no.
Or everything was really loose. So it was that.
I don't remember anything like that standing out to me in that time. And I think I did it and I wasn't like 100% committed to it. I was probably like 90% committed to it because I absolutely love popcorn and I'm never giving up popcorn. Oh, I just kept doing the popcorn. So I don't remember there being anything specific like that. I did feel good on it and I did notice my body changing in good ways as far as like physically. I was gaining more muscle and I was getting a little bit more like getting rid of a little bit more fat and stuff like that. And I just could feel my body changing in that way. And I really did enjoy that. But it's a hard one to commit to because I also believe that fruits and vegetables have to be good for us too. I don't know. It's so hard. There's so many different opinions out there on all that stuff.
Exactly. So through my craniosacral and through a lot of meditation, now I've realized that how I intrinsically like to eat, and this isn't like how everyone would be. You have to look into your own self how you like to eat, but my system has clearly showed up to me and been like, I love to be an opportunistic eater. So whatever's presenting on the day or whatever kind of comes in front of my face, I get very deeply curious about it, and it often just trust that it's like the right thing for me at the right time. And yeah, my system personally likes variety. So I remember doing the carnivore diet, and it was also teaching me, because I was doing a craniosacral seminar at the time, teaching me a deep sort of lesson in how to sit in boredom and lack of variety. Really had to sit with that because my system was like rebelling constantly, being like, I'm so bored of this food. I'm so bored of this food. Like, I just want, and to be like, no, okay, this is what you're doing right now. Like, sometimes in life, things you just have to buckle down and be content with a few things and not having like the world at your fingertips, because that's what I was used to. So I had to be really appreciative. And now, because I learned that, like, now I am really appreciative that I can go to the grocery store and be like, waltz in and be like, hey, here's the whole world for your choosing. What do you need today? Like, super blessed for that. And it can also be the opposite. You have to look at that. And some people who step into a grocery store, especially when they're like have all these fad diets in their mind, it can be huge overwhelm going into a grocery store and have all the options. So food was a huge thing for me during my healing process, and one that was probably the biggest struggle for me. And I started attending like Overeater Anonymous groups.
Really?
Yeah, just in Vernon. Like at first I went because I didn't know, because I had a like a sugar dependency or a sugar addiction. I really liked fueling my body with sugar, especially chocolate. And so I went to an AA meeting because I didn't know where else to go, like for addictions. So I was like there being like, hey, hi, my name's Casey. I'm an addict. And like, you can be, addictions come in all forms. So you can go to these addict meetings, even if you aren't like a hardcore drug user, and just be like, and then I said I was like a sugar addict, and they're like, oh, here's these like OA meetings, like Overeater Anonymous, but they don't just address like it tackles binge eating and like food abuse and like overeating, and you can just talk about any of your like not, oh, what does it say, like poor relationships with food, and you start mending your relationships with food. So now I really have to be with food. Sometimes I'm mindful, hey, I need to slow down my eating and really feel this food and smell it and enjoy it and chew it and swallow it properly. Or with this food, I really need to sit with it and tell it I love you. Thank you for what you're doing with my body. I know you're a bowl of chips, but you feel like the right thing right now. And I love you. Thank you for being a part. And I'm like, sorry for any shame I put you in the past. And please forgive me for not trusting that you're the right food for me right now. And yeah. So yeah, Overeaters Anonymous. Sometimes you just need, I noticed with healing from Lyme, sometimes you need the one-on-one appointments with a practitioner. Sometimes you have to really dig deep and do the hard healing work yourself. And sometimes you really need group therapy sessions to just talk out stuff with people.
And just have people understand what you're going through too, or feel like they understand a little bit more of what you're going through. Not everybody that people who don't have Lyme disease don't know exactly what you're experiencing and what you're trying to heal from and stuff. Yeah, I think it's important to have those support groups. I never really sought out support groups for my fertility stuff, but I do know they exist. And I did do one little support group and we all just talked about how hard it is.
Yeah. It is, it's sometimes it just, yeah, it's just nice to share sometimes.
And not feel alone.
Not feel, and usually your system can gauge. Our craniosacral class was just such a safe space to be like, everyone here is just compassionate listening, neutral space, no judgment. some deep resonance with some people. And yeah, really huge stuff came. That's why I love the craniosacral container, because it forms such a tight container that these classes, that really big processes can arise to be released, and people go through some big changes during these seminars because the collective energy is so just giving and holds so strong. It just, yeah, allows for people to be like, whoa, I can let that go now, and step closer to being who they are, away from the disease, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
And that's something you're still practicing right now, right?
So a lot of my work right now, and last year too, I actually went through the process before taxes of just registering all my receipts from last year for all my appointments. And I noticed I spent $3,000 alone in counseling and direct neural feedback. And a lot of my counseling was clearing subconscious blocks, and a lot of direct neural feedback is about like reprogramming your brain and clearing out stuff that's just jamming up your like neural processing. So I'm continuing with that work of doing a lot of deep cleaning and clearing of my subconscious programming, so I can really get back to ground zero of who I am. And yeah, I'm having moments right now that are just truly incredible, where I'm getting deeply curious of who I'm meant to be, work I'm meant to be or meant to do. What am I supposed to be doing? Not what that person's supposed to be doing, not what I see on Instagram. Like, how am I supposed to show up today? What am I bringing to the table? What is at my core? And man, when you really start to be like, I'm not curious about what they're doing over there, and I'm not curious what over there, like, it's fascinating stuff. But when you turn it inwards and be like, get deeply curious about what you're supposed to be doing, oh, like you get this really crazy, oh, like excitement. It's like changing your nerves into excitement, and you get deeply curious and
I love
excited.
that.
Yeah, the life you're meant to lead, and stepping into your own power. And it's not, yeah, it's not like a power that puts anybody down or tramples anyone. It's a power that's, I want to uplift myself, and I want to let my true expression fly. And can I help other, like, how can we all do this together? Let's all cross the finish line. Let's just lift each other up. And really learning that by cleaning and clearing to get really clear about who I am helps me stay in my own lane. And if I stay in my own lane, then other people are allowed to stay in their own lane, and no one has to compensate for anyone else, and no one gets pulled away by other people's shit. And then everyone else can be free to just
God, I
be at.
love that. I love that. Because it's especially here in America. I guess Canada's probably similar, but Colin and I were just talking about, I think yesterday, about everybody trying to keep up with the Joneses. And I don't know, just we're all so concerned about what everyone else is doing, what everyone else is going to think, and what society tells us we should and shouldn't be doing, and that kind of stuff. And I think we just it's so hard to not get caught up in a lot of that stuff. But what's wrong with me doing my thing, you doing your thing? And as long as everybody's living a happy life and not hurting anybody or themselves, why can't we all just cheer each other on, and instead of tearing each other down or anything like that? Like, it's just, that's an interesting theme that's come up for me recently.
And it's beautiful, and all you have to do is you really have to just keep cleaning and get clear about who you are. Because once you get clear about who you are, the stuff you really need in your life shows up. You don't even have to work for it. It will start to show up. And I keep talking about cleaning. So the way I'm cleaning right now is the Ho'oponopono technique, which is an ancient Hawaiian practice of really taking deep responsibility for your life. So whatever shows up in front of your face, whatever shows up in your existence, especially problems, you take full responsibility. You're like, I'm a part of this problem. It's showing up in front of me. It's here because I'm a part of it. So you have to like accept that it's. So one thing you say is, it may or may not be your fault. it may not be your fault, but it's your responsibility to clean on it. And so to take full responsibility for it, you say, I'm sorry. Maybe it's, I'm sorry, I'm not aware. I wasn't aware of the part I played in this. I played in this. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. I love you. I love you clears it. And yeah, so any sort of cleaning on everything these days, but especially the tough moments, you're like, I'm sorry. Because there's so much running in our subconscious that we, half the time, we don't know what's truly going on. We think we know. So yeah, I constantly like clean by saying that mantra. That's the kind of Ho'oponopono mantra. And I do a bunch of other intuitive cleaning stuff. Baths. I used to never, before Lyme disease, never take baths. I was a shower person. Now I treat baths as sacred. If I'm staying at other people's places, I clean their baths. I pray to their baths. I treat their bathtub as well as I treat their pet that I'm like I'm taking care of.
That's so funny. I'm a huge bath person. I've taken baths for forever and I just absolutely love it. And now I've gotten in the habit of when I take a bath, I just sit there and read. I'm taking that time to read and disconnect from the world and everything. And I sit in there and I read and I love it. And it's so relaxing. I'm also a Pisces. So I think the water aspect of it really calms me as well. But I love baths. My sister called me the other day. She's like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I'm in the bathtub. She's like, again?
Yeah, like baths are where I've done some of my strongest healing work. Like some of the baths I've had have been mind blowing. And this is a bath. But there's a reason, like in the past, like bathhouses and places like were really, there's still cultures where they're sacred places are really like, yeah, places to be respected. And the Romans loved their baths. And I remember one of my first craniosacral sessions with my lady in Penticton. She was working on a head hold. And I was like, I remember telling her, she's, oh, what are you feeling right now? And I was like, I have this like amazing image in my head, like my skull is being reconstructed into this beautiful bathhouse with like columns and crystals, and it was like purple and turquoise light, and it was beautiful, and I was constructing it, and I didn't realize at the time, but I think my system was priming me that most of my healing work would be about cleaning my system and just like cleaning the bugs out, cleaning the toxins out, cleaning the emotional junk from my system, cleaning the spiritual junk from my system. And
Do you like to read?
I do, yeah.
So somebody was recently, I think it was a client of mine. I'm gonna have to reach out to her and ask, and actually this isn't the first time I've heard about this book, but I think it's called The Body Remembers or something like that. Have you heard about it?
Have it, yeah.
What is it called?
Keeps the score. Is it that one?
Is it that one? Maybe it's that one. I'm gonna have to ask her. It's something like that though, where it talks about your body holds on to shit and remembers it. And it could be something stupid from like your childhood or maybe a previous lifetime or whatever. And your body holds on to it. So I've been wanting to read that book. So have you read it?
I've read pieces of it. I actually saw it in the mall again the other day, even though I have it in my house, and it was flashed in front of my face, and I was like, oh, I should pick up that book again and start reading it again. And now you're mentioning it again, so it's coming online. Yeah, I'll start reading that again. I actually had a client, I was doing a craniosacral session on her, and a beautiful lady. I loved her, and I've worked on her many times. But during this session, she was like, oh, I'm starting to get like this intense pain, like in my diaphragm area. And she's, oh, it's so tight and tense. And then she was like, oh, wait a second, I'm seeing something in my mind. So we just waited, and she had it, let it unfold. And she's, I just had visions of like when I was in Hawaii and I was boogie boarding with my brother. And I remember taking this big fall where the boogie board came up and slammed me under my like ribs.
Oh, wow.
And like, I totally forgot about that until now. And I was like, you forgot about it, but your body took that hit, absorbed it, remembered it, so that you could carry on with the rest of your day and your vacation. So on for her so she could just carry on and be okay. But now that we were in a safe space 5 years later, or however long it was, the body was like showing up and being like, hey, I'm done holding on to this. I've held on to this for you for this many years. This is a safe place now. Can we release it? And then as soon as that was acknowledged, came up to be acknowledged, it dropped from her. And then her diaphragm did this crazy shifting and releasing and relaxing and rippled up through her fascia. Because I think the diaphragm is a fulcrum for the whole fascial network, which is under our skin. And then she just huddled right out. So you're right. Our body will take these hits for us to let us like carry on with our lives, because our body is resilient and strong. Like, it's really our greatest ally in life, in marching through life. Like, you should partner with your body every single day and tell your body, like, I love you. Like, you're doing incredible stuff behind the scenes that I'm not even aware of. And yeah, so her body held this for so long, held her like, but then, you have to show your body some love sometimes, and you have to slow down and be like, okay, body, what junk have you been holding on for me that now you like, now
Yeah.
and then once you do that reset, then your body's ready to be like, throw whatever else. Let's go full force into life again. I've got your back. But yeah, if you don't keep doing those like mindful clearings and releasing, which the biodynamic craniosacral work helps with, your body will just keep getting loaded up with junk until eventually you do land in disease. Like, your body gets so pulled out of whack that it's just, I can't regulate it anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense to me.
So that is another work I've been doing recently pretty hard, is partner, like really focusing on partnership. And mainly that partnership is like with the body, and partnership in terms of like, how can we, like, I'm to the point where I'm like, I don't just want to like release some stuff. I want to do the deep cleaning, like the deep, like you're going full spring cleaning. Let's get into all the nooks and crannies. How deep can we go so I can get back to really to the base of myself, like to who I truly am. So I'm ready to like, I want to get back to ground zero so I can go forward into life like fully clean and be like, okay, I'm ready to take on everything and anything, whatever's meant to come my way.
Yeah. Or just live your best life. Be happy. And
so many times I've had to say to myself throughout this whole journey is like, what, like, it's okay to just take the day to do what brings you joy. It's okay to just have fun, to be happy. It's the other day, it was like, we were talking about baths. I decided to take a bath in the middle of the day because I had nothing on that day, but it was like a Wednesday, and there was huge amounts of programming that I had to clean from my brain that was like, what are you doing taking a bath in the middle of the day? That's so lazy. You should be like working on something. You should be working hard. And I'm like, no, this cleaning work that I'm doing right now is deeply important to me. So this is actually the most important thing I'm doing today. And the fact that this programming, that this isn't worthwhile right now, is playing in my head, is actually like really what I need to be working on right now. So yeah, I took that bath in the middle of the day and it was great. And then of course there's work. There will always be work.
there will always be work. There will always be chores. That stuff's never done. But you're right. You need to take time to take care of yourself and heal yourself. And we are completely programmed socially to be productive during the day, to make sure you do all the things and whatever. And we do need to give ourselves more permission to not be so serious and productive and take care of ourselves every once in a while. And if that means just sitting down and binging a Netflix show, that's okay too.
I was like, there was Gil Headley. He's a amazing dissectionist and anatomist, and he has the term like sonomenaut, I think it is sonomenaut, like deeply exploring yourself. But yeah, even in one of his was like, yeah, if you just need to, I think it was like, if you just have to take a day to watch Netflix and eat like 4 Pop-Tarts because that's what's showing up for you, you got to trust that if you've done your cleaning work and it's not like you're not being run by memories or something, and that's what's really showing up that you need today to take, then do it and feel good about it. Just be like,
Yeah.
this is what's being asked of me. Yeah,
Not be hard on yourself for what you didn't do.
exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, that programming in a lot of us is deeply ingrained. And to keep clearing that out, yeah, that takes a lot of, for me, a lot of mental clearing and mantra work and mindfulness and noticing how I feel when I do some of these stuff, like some of this stuff. And yeah, I feel like it's work that I'll be doing like the rest of my life.
We're never going to be figured out, right? Like we're going to have to work on ourselves always and forever. You just hope that maybe it gets a little bit easier work down the line.
Yeah, it does. I think the more you keep clearing and these subconscious beliefs and stuff, and the more you get closer and closer to who you truly are, then what shows up for you becomes easier and easier. And
Well, in
if
life, we're still living life and life is still happening. So hard stuff's still going to come up just because you healed from the last hard thing. There's going to be another hard thing eventually.
that, yeah, and that's what I like about the Ho'oponopono, because instead of viewing every hardship as you start to view, you turn it around. You start to view every hardship as an opportunity.
Mm.
So it prevents in front, or it comes in front of you and be like, oh, thank you, this is another opportunity for me to become aware of this and to take full responsibility for this and to clean on this and see what subconscious programming is. Yeah, so now when anything comes in front of me and I'm like, oh, this tough thing's coming in front of me, oh, this is a chance to be like, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, whoa, thank you. Yeah, and an opportunity that it shows up and you're like, whoa, like I learned this from that. And that wasn't easy. And that wasn't easy to face. But like when you take that full responsibility, things become a bit easy. It becomes easier to face because you're not like in that fight or flight, fight this, or I'm going to run away from this. You're actually like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's that. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. So yeah, that work, the Ho'oponopono coming into my life has been a great gift. Reiki coming into my life was a tremendous gift as well. Yeah, Reiki paired with craniosacral has been like just huge. Oh, I was trying to think of another healing. I don't, if someone else is looking into Lyme, my Kelowna naturopath, I mentioned it last one, was the low dose immunofrequency therapy.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, that one's crazy. So he has it for all different stuff, for like environment, food, adrenals, like herpes virus, the Lyme bacteria. And he has them in these vials. And I sit in front of him and I just intuitively select a frequency. And sometimes they're more physical level ones, more emotional, spiritual. And he literally takes a syringe and then squirts the stuff in my mouth, and it's playing with frequencies too, but it's supposed to, whatever like disruptive frequencies coming in from maybe your beliefs of food or like environmental toxins, the low dose immunofrequency is supposed to come in and start helping you like cancel out all those harmful frequencies. So yeah, I'll take shots of that with my naturopath, and that
What's
stuff,
actually in the vials? Do you know?
don't know exactly what he does to make them. I just know that like they've been incredible for me.
Oh,
And I
good.
don't believed in it. A belief goes a long way. And I was paying for it. So maybe when you pay for it, you believe in it more.
That probably, there is, I'm sure, a bit of an energetic piece to that for sure.
I know he distills liquid, and I don't know I would love to actually like, I'm a patient. I don't want to be like, hey, doctor, can you drag me behind the scenes? Can you show me your magical secrets of how you do this? I'm sure you can look deep dive into the research and the papers of how they form this stuff. I just know that running in the background And taking boosters of that every so often has been huge for my Lyme as well. In hard to describe ways. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, that's great. I think I'm going to try to wrap this up because we've been talking for quite a while now, but I feel like you gave so much good information and was really helpful. Do you have any like parting words that you want to give to anybody out there listening?
I guess the message that was coming through for me a lot this one is oh, how do I word this? Well, just the cleaning's coming through. Cleaning is important work of the mind, body, and soul. Really helps you get back to you. You know what I mean? So maybe just for anyone who's listening, who's interested in cleaning and interested in partnership with your body, in a meditation, you can sit with your body and be like, hey, body, what's one thing we can do this week to help clean our being, to get clearer on who I am and back to the core of who I am, so I can be the best version of myself moving forward, right? Yeah, that's, I guess, what's coming up for me this week.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think that's great. I think we all need to find ourselves. I think it's easy to lose ourselves in who we are in society and all the things. So I love that.
Yeah, you don't need to, like, if you feel yourself taking on other people's junk, clean that from your system. The only junk you truly need in yourself is your own junk, and still clean on that. And if you take shit into your body, make sure it's like sacred, fertile shit, like manure.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Sacred, because from that sacred soil in you, stuff can grow, right? So only let sacred shit into yourself. Otherwise,
I love that so much.
yeah, from there stuff can grow. Otherwise, clean other people's shit from yourself and clean your own shit, and you'll be fine. Yeah.
Oh man, I love that. Okay. Thank you so much again, Kasey. This was really great. And I hope a lot of people learned some stuff from this. And for once, it's not so heavy of an episode, as I do a lot of those. So this one's a little bit more lighthearted and learning on different ways you can heal yourself. Thank you again for coming on. And thank you for going deep and being vulnerable again. I know you had that moment of getting real deeply personal for us, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for letting me share my healing experiences with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good. Maybe we'll touch base with you again in a few months and see where you're at and see if you've learned anything new.
Sounds great. Thanks, Donnie.
All right, my dear. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you enjoyed our conversation and found value in the stories shared, please consider following us on your preferred podcast platform. Your ratings and reviews make a huge difference. They help us reach more listeners and continue bringing you engaging, insightful content. We appreciate your support and would love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Until next time, keep listening, growing, and sharing.